This mage build combines tons of projectiles with a deadly dot. Utilizing an Arcane missile totem, we spread Arcane Bond throughout multiple rooms worth of enemies with ease. Recovering tons of mana in an instant through Chronopuncture scales the damage to insane amounts. Pulling enemies into one spot while buffing us at the same time, Arcane Breach rounds up the build nicely. A clone with Arcane Barrier shields us from projectiles while idling on top of the final boss. The combination of staggered damage, tons of armor, resistance, evasion and health recovery keeps us alive throughout any difficulty the game can throw at us. The few necessary prerequisites for the build let us adopt it early on in our late game adventure. I am Moorhuhn and today we are talking about my Arcane Bond mana stack, the mischievous mage that farms Wrath Eggs with ease. Let's get into the necessary evil of prerequisites. What are the things we need to start the build? First of all, the skills we need are Arcane Missile at Mastery 7 and Chronopuncture at Mastery 6. For the runes, we need the activation rune of Fulgurn. We could use Hagen, but Fulgurn is a lot better. Then we need the Slormancer rune of the Shaman, which basically enables the build. You could use Arcane Missile before that and just use it with a clone or something, but it is a lot better to just use the rune. Items, there are no real mandatory items, but the following are a very good starting point that I would want to use when I start the build. Ancestral Firefingers and the Slormancer infused diadem are just very strong damage, and Sorrowvil's Pact, Sahuril's Pact and Short of the Unseen just gives so much defense that you don't really want to, well, not use them. For the Reaper, again, there is nothing really neat, but I'd recommend to level 100 with the Stuff of the Trainee and then switch to one of the recommended ones later on. For the Ancestral Stones, none are required, but getting to Comfort Zone early helps a lot with scaling crit and getting those fancy Ancestral hits, which basically are what the build relies on most. In the final setup of the build, we want the following setups for the following skills. Arcane Barrier, we want either Methodical Wizard or Brawler. Then we want Shutdown, after that Castigate or Life Sentence, then Arcane Ritual, then Mana Protector or Magnetic Barrier, then Defensive Clone, Arcane Sacrament, and finally Arcane Ceremony. For Chronopuncture we want Chrono Obliterate, Chrono Speed or Chrono Manamorphosis, depending on, well, your gear state and if you rather need the attack speed or the mana right now. Then we want Selective Bond, Time Manipulation and Superior Chrono Upgrade. For Arcane Breach we want Reap What You Sow, and then either Multi-Breaches, Peaceful Breaches, Permanent Bond or Eternal Breach. All of these are good nodes and usable, just test them out and pick the one you like the most. I personally mostly run Eternal Breach, but all of these do, well, some different stuff and it's really up to how you like them. Then you want either Double Slipknot or Arcane Flux, though Double Slipknot could be a lot better due to the high damage increase. Then we want Evergrowing Portal and Gravitational Force as the last point. For Arcane Missile we want Incomplete Missile, Conflux, Evolve and Overcome, Transcending Obliteration and Not So Lost. For the rune setup we want the activation rune of Fulgurn. This is by far the best one and there isn't really a discussion about it. Use this one. For the effect rune we want the Slormancer rune of the Shaman. This kinda obviously because it's the one that enables the build. Then we want the either enhancement rune of Hagan, Bygarth, Adriane or Astorius. All of these have their use cases, but I do think it mostly is between Hagan and Bygarth, because Bygarth is basically the best for arena because it gives the highest value for the lowest constraint, but needs quite a long ramp up, which isn't really suited for areas where you don't, well, stay in for so long. Even though it transfers between the levels of battlefields, if you are not going for like 20 or 30 battlefield rounds, then, well, Hagan will probably suit you better. Hagan just is by far the one with the highest missile amount, but makes it a bit more expensive to throw down the totem, which can be a constraint that annoys you at some point. Adriane just gives a chance to throw down a totem, but I didn't really feel like it was very good because our totem throwdown speed is so high anyways. And then we have Asturias, which is just quantity over quality, so we're getting a lot of totems, but we get totems with not a lot of projectiles, which I personally do not like very much. For the Ancestral Legacy, you really have infinite options. I here just present the one I am using, which I do grew into liking very much, but could be replaced, especially when getting higher crit chance from gear. I highly recommend to just experiment around with it and see what suits you and what you like about the system, and just pick those that you feel you want to use or that make the build feel unique to you. For my first stone, I am running Elemental Boost, then Heart of the Wizard, Ardent Strikes after, Fire Resistance and Fiery Weapons then, Crawling Disaster, Comfort Zone, and then Warlock Ascendancy. You can run Arming the Bomb here, but I prefer Warlock Ascendancy. One note for Ardent Strikes is that it shoots out so many fireballs that the game gets quite laggy very quickly, so you might want to use it at level like 1 or 2 or 3 to just not throw so many fireballs out. Then for the first stone, I do like the 3 options Wise Knot, Power Surge and Cleansing Surge. Wise Knot is just a very good clear increase because it, well, plays into the entire theme of overkill lot damage. Then we have Power Surge, which is just a lot of movement speed, which I basically am using for all other areas. And then we have Cleansing Surge, which technically is a decent single target increase, but is just in my opinion not as good because it would need the Mana Reaper, which I don't really use in the build, but you can use it. Then let's take a look at the gear. For the Ultimatum, I'm using Flawless Power. This gives us a lot of crit multiplier and lets us focus on ancestral damage rather than crit damage. Undisputed Speed is a nice alternative if you don't run the movement speed ancestral skill or just want the movement speed without other conditions. For defensive legendaries, we have Sarusil's Pact, which cleanses staggered damage, Sarusil's Pact, which converts most hits into staggered damage, and Unseen Shroud, which gives a lot of evasion. Then we have Heart of Darkness, which gives even more evasion, and Aurelian's Cleansing Talisman, which can be used to remove dots if there are no enemies nearby to just keep you leeching. Then for offense, we have the Ancestral Firefingers, which allows our dots to crit and ancestral hit, which basically allow most of the interactions of the build, so they are kind of mandatory but not really, just are a very strong upgrade to the build. Then we have the Slormancer Infused Diadem, which gives tons of mana, and the Visage of the Relentless Transference, which gives tons of damage. For the primordial options, we have Ara's Unbreakable Barrier, which limits the enemy damage and is extremely strong. Then we have Predator's Fang, which increases the damage to low health enemies. This is very nice to get a higher overkill value, but it's kinda useless when you are one-shotting the enemies 100 to 0. Then we have Circle of Doom, which is stacking increased damage and overkill later on. And we have Loi's Wave of Fervor, which needs additional burn strikes from the Ancestral Legacy to really shine, but it can be one variant to build into. Then we've got this Soul Eating Mantle, which gives % damage for when the damage still is lacking, but I would probably not use it later on. And we have Defender's Twin Bands, which is just some extra defense on our ring slots. For the stat priority, we very heavily lean into last mana and then % mana. You really need the rebound chance, but you can do this completely through legendaries. You don't need to waste any other mods on them because you can reach 100% without any pure mods and without any other mods, just some legendary slots. Then you want crit chance up to 40 to 60% plus 40 from the Ancestral Legacy. And then you want ancestral hit chance as high as possible, ancestral hit damage, damage over time, elemental penetration and crit damage. For the defense, you really just want evasion, life and some more life. But really evasion is what you should really focus on. Then let's take a look at the attributes. For toughness, you want the 15 points to get tons of elemental resistances from your armor stacking. This should be picked up after hitting Seal 45 and Willpower 10. Severity, we don't use any points because it doesn't really provide anything useful. Then Fury should just be your latest priority, with 45 points to get lots of evasion, crit, and with the 45 a 20% attack speed boost, which is equal to about 40 points in dexterity. Then we have Determinations, where again we don't put anything in there because the bonuses we get there are just too little for how much we can get from other attributes. For Zeal, it is the highest priority till 45, and then when you have points left over, you just throw the rest in there for extra mana. 15 points makes casting basically cost no mana, which is extremely strong. 45 gives a lot of life recovery, which we do lack otherwise, so I would try to get to 45 as quickly as possible. Also, it does provide a lot of mana. Willpower, we just throw in the 10 points for the percent mana. You can put quite a bit more points in there for more AoE, but I didn't really feel like it was necessary. Dexterity, we don't put any points in there, but just because Fury just gives the same attack speed we would get from Dexterity, but has, well, better bonuses in addition. Bravery can be spec'd into for faster farming, but I didn't really feel it was necessary, so I just didn't put any points in Bravery. Last but not least, let's talk about Reapers. The Staff of the Relentless Transference basically is my favorite. This one makes all your secondary damage hit deadly force by, well, allowing overkill damage to, well, boost the next hit. This makes our Fireball hit for millions and, well, it did just feel very, very good. The Primordial variant should only be used if you have no damage taken cap from other sources as defense yet. The damage of the normal variant is a lot better. Then we have the Staff of the Detonating Force. This one just gives a lot of extra damage and probably is the best version for single target. However, the Primordial variant should really only be used in areas with 100% dot damage reduction, but there are like 3 Primordial zones where you need them, so there you really want to have this stuff at level 100 and, well, the Primordial variant, so that you can actually get through these areas without like hitting them with 20 damage fireballs. Then we have the Staff of the Ferocious Affinity. The Primordial variant should only be used if you also are running the Power Surge Ancestral Legacy skill. This basically is the highest possible mana value you can have and providing the highest armor and resistance value. Also, the Primordial version together with the Power Surge provides a lot of additional damage, but in my experience it just does not compete with the options above. For specific farming, I did run the pure Staff of the Temple Keeper because it just gives a lot of pure Slorm and I didn't really feel like we need perfect weapon in these areas. I did run to up to stage 250 with ease just with the pure staff, so it, well, the build very well works without a specific Reaper. The same is true for farming Elder Slorm. Elder Primordial Staff of the Slorm Temple again is the best option you can run in these areas. Just if you just need Elder Slorm, pick up this one and, well, get your Elder Slorm. This pretty much concludes everything I wanted to say about the build. If there are any questions open, if you just want to say how it went for you, or if you have anything other to say, let me know down in the comments. I say thanks for watching, feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and see you in the next one.